Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you all?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too shabby. Right now, I'm going to post the material for today's class in the chat box. And as always, now is a great time to go get a drink of water or a snack or something for the class. Let's start at around 11:05. Let some people trickle in. And again, I just posted, I'll do it again, the material for today's class in the chats box. So let's get after it at 11:05. See you soon. Hey, Cindy, absolutely. Let me go in there real quick. Alrighty. Alrighty. So let's get started. It's about 11:04. So before we get started, did everybody have a good weekend? Do anything fun?
My weekend was okay. I didn't really do much, but I did work on a lot of content to put out there for the next couple of weeks.
Nice. Let me see if I think. There we go. Okay, he just made me host. Nice. What kind of content were you working on?
Well, I really haven't like introduced myself on social media as a new agent for Keller Williams. So I actually did that today. I put a thing together and just kind of said that this is what I'm doing now. And just from that alone, somebody from back east, I'm from Boston, and they had inboxed me asking if I know an agent back there. And I said, well, actually, my sister works for Keller Williams, so let me, send her over to you. And so I might have like a referral type thing going on right now, which is pretty cool, just from me saying, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Honestly, referrals are a big part of our business. They're what I like to call my favorite kind of deal because you don't really have to do too much. Let me reiterate that. Let me retract that. So if you get the referral, you are going to be doing a lot of the work. But if you have that connection and you know somebody, for example, moving back east, Greg, you can refer it to that person, and you'll get a good commission for doing,
Right.
and it's great.
Right. Yeah.
And then on the flip side, of course, you're going to be sharing your commission a little bit, but it's pretty much teed off. They're ready to go, and they're usually very actionable buyers whenever you get like a referral from out of state. moving to Los Angeles because they need to purchase. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're a little bit more actionable. So I always love taking on those personally. So good
Right.
stuff, man. Awesome.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Well, how about this? We'll share while we're going over our numbers. And Cindy, I'll go over how many classes you have left. Let's start with Cindy. How was your weekend?
It was good, thank you. How was yours?
Oh, swimmingly. I have a new buyer. She's located in Santa Barbara, and I went to school out there.
Nice.
And I was making a lot of posts this week and weekend on my Instagram, and I had a few people reach out, and which was great. So I got 2 new buyers this weekend, and rocking and rolling. So very good. How about you? Do you make any contacts?
I did, and I spoke to 2 potential buyers, and I actually even called May because I wanted them to get pre-qualified.
Nice.
And I feel like, because I don't, well, how do I express this?
Did you tell her I sent you?
May, you mean? Wait, what?
Yeah. Did you tell May that I sent you?
No, I know May from when I was going to school for
Oh,
real
cool.
estate. So, but my buyer didn't fall through on that. And I was like, and when I reached back to my buyer, like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to you tomorrow so we can touch base and see where you're at with my app, because she was gonna fill out the app and I was gonna use that as a guide to see where they're looking. And then I was like, here's my lender May, so make sure you give her a call so we can get you pre-qualified, because if you're as eager to move out, I want to get that ball rolling for you.
Mhm.
And she never did.
Oi, 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 oi.
So my
Yeah.
thing is like, now I don't feel like they do take me. I feel like they do take me seriously, but they don't, because this is a long time relationship that I want to say. And this is someone that I've been working on since I was actually in real estate school to get them.
Wow, interesting. And how long have you been licensed again?
I just got it
Okay.
like I signed up with Keller in November, beginning of November.
Huh. Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of times I run into that issue with buyers. Did you give May her number?
Yes, I did.
And May tried calling her and she didn't pick up or something?
I told her that my buyer was going to be calling her.
Okay.
And
Sometimes
uh-huh.
that's fine. Sometimes even if my buyer is going to be calling May, I'll put the onus on May. For example, I'll just be like, "Hey, why don't you reach out to them, today, and try to make first contact." Just because oftentimes I find that a lot of buyers will get a little lackadaisical, and they'll go, "Oh, I'll get to it. No big deal. I'll get around to it." And it's for us, it's frustrating. But at
Yes.
the same time, we have to realize people have their own lives, and they're doing all this stuff. And frankly, looking for financial documents is not exactly an exciting part of real estate. So oftentimes we'll have to nudge them a little bit. So don't be discouraged by that.
Okay.
It's all part of the process, unfortunately, and that's the hardest process. And once they get that out of the way, more or less, the ball kind of rolls on its own. They just
I
have to put up documents and click, 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 sign, and it's pretty much, that's
I
that.
feel
Yeah,
like there's more fear on their end, because
yeah,
I know it's a big, big step. And
yeah.
I was like, listen, my goal with this is for me to know where you stand, because I would hate for you to fall in love with a house that you may not qualify for. I don't know what you're qualifying for because I'm
Right,
not a lender, but this will be an excellent guide for us to go after what you do qualify for.
right.
And
And I
then,
Yeah.
uh-huh,
And I like that. Sometimes I word it almost identical to exactly what you just said.
uh-huh, but what did I miss?
Um, but sometimes I'll, instead of for me, I'll say you. Like for example, because I don't know what you can qualify for. I'll say, because you don't really know what you can qualify for yet. So once you talk with
Okay.
the lender's going to kind of game plan with you. They're going to go over all of your, documents. And by the by, I don't see any of it. The lender just tells me, at the end of the conversation and at the end of the pre-approval process, this is what they can go out for, go get it. And, I just want to remind you, I don't see any of your financial documents. I don't know what your financial picture is. But what I do need to know is that little letter that the lender sends out, that gives us a game plan. Instead of it saying me, because, and I'll tell you why I like to rephrase that, because sometimes when it's a longtime friend, they don't want you to know that they're in debt for, buying 100, purses, last year.
Right.
And I don't know, it could be a guy, for example.
No, right. No, but I see that because it's like you're finding out things that people may not want you to know about. So,
Yep.
and I totally get that. So, thank you for that information because that's something that I could say next time I speak to them.
Yeah.
Like, and when I told her like I don't know what you owe, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know very much." Okay, that's great. This is just going to help us make your offers look more attractive to the banks when that time comes, again, just
Offers
trying
to
to
sellers,
reassure
right.
her,
Yeah.
like, this is why I'm saying this. And then also, especially due to the pandemic, I will not be able to show you a house without a pre-qualification letter.
Right. Right.
I was like, you have to remember times are different right now, and we need to get this step first. I know regardless of with or without the pandemic that this is the first step, but I just use that also to like let her know like if you wanted to move like next month, then we need to get this ball rolling.
Right. And sometimes what I'll even do, for example, and this is a true story. I had a person who was buying, and she said that she was going to work with me. And this girl and I, we dated a couple times. We just became friends, and we remained good friends. But because of that, she said, "Oh, Jared, I bought a place. You're going to hate me, but I wrote an offer with another realtor." And I was like, what? Like, why
Wow.
would you do that? Like, oh my God, I hate you. And she's just like, no, I know. Frankly, I just didn't want you to know like my entire financial background and stuff. It's almost like it's scarier than getting naked in front of somebody, and started, put that out there. But, and I realized, I was like, well, wait a second, this person doesn't realize that I don't get to see that information. I don't see the financial picture. I just get a letter from the lender that says this is what they can go after. Now, that could be completely maxed out. That could just be the person saying, hey, I only want to buy a $600,000 house. And the lender might be like, they could afford a $3 million house for all we care. But
Right.
the letter is going to say 600,000 because that's what they're going after. So anyway, so what I often say to people, when I'm talking with them, especially if it's a friendship, somebody like not like a cold call, not like a, strangers, it's interesting. They'll let their financial,
Yeah.
background, no problem. You go
Yeah.
to
I'm
a
gonna
doctor's
tell you
office.
things
Yeah,
that they wouldn't even tell their best friend. I
exactly.
totally get that.
You go to a doctor's office and they're doing a checkup, you take your clothes off, no problem, but you won't do it in front of your friend. So my point
Yeah.
is like, weird analogy, but that's the way I look at, the financial questions sometimes, especially when you're talking about your friends, because they're just like, my Instagram, I'm going off to like Turks and Caicos on the regular. I'm in Cabo. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but nobody knows my mom and dad are paying for it. So, sometimes when we're talking about finances, especially with our friends, we want to remind them that we don't see that info, and we do that in like a nice way. And for example, this is a conversation I would have. I recently had it with my friend Jake, and I was just like, "Hey, bud, listen, I really like you to talk with my lender. She's awesome. She's going to ask you a lot of financial questions. I know it's going to feel uncomfortable. I've gone through the process myself, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're asking me for the world. But I assure you, for lenders, it's like asking for a cup of coffee. It's not a big deal. By the by, I don't really get to see whatever you two discuss. It's confidential what you discuss with the lender. But what the whole purpose is they're going to give me a qualification letter. And that qualification letter, whether or not you can approve for more or less, is going to be the game plan of what we're going to be basing our search off of. So all the letter says is I've reviewed their, debt to income ratio, assets, and whatever, and we have we have approved them for, this a
Yeah.
purchase price of this amount.
Thank you
Um,
for that, because
yeah,
I didn't even know that either. I didn't know that we just got a letter.
yeah.
So
So
um,
sometimes, yeah, so sometimes, when I was first getting into real estate, I wanted to sound like really impressive, and like I was
yeah.
like, yeah, listen, you got to have a debt to income ratio of this, and that, and blah, 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 blah. And, basically, listen, I know like people who are worth $1 million who don't even get approved for this because of the way and I scared people off. Like they're like, oh, dude, okay, I don't want you to see my debt to income ratio, frankly. And then I realized what was happening is they're actually a little bit nervous that I'm going to see their financial portfolio and judge them. And that's not what we're in the business for. So what I always say is just remind them that whatever they discuss with the lender is private. The only thing that we're going to be informed about is
What they qualify.
whatever. Right. And what I always say is just like look at the lender as your best friend. As or like your uncle or your dad or your mom or whatever, and they're just going to be there to help advise you, and to help create a strategy for what you're going to be able to purchase, because they want to make sure that you can afford the loan, that you can afford the monthly payments. They want to make sure that it's comfortable for you, and really it's just an exercise to know what works for you, not what works for the lender or the realtor. But anyway, good stuff, Cindy. I'm sure you're going to get back on that and talk with them. And as far as how many more classes you need, so I may have missed one or two of your classes, but it's 1, 2, 3. It looks like 4. Hold on, let me just kind of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So technically, off of what I have, you need 2 more classes.
Cool.
So rock and roll. So yeah, awesome. You're almost done.
Thank you.
Good job, Cindy. Okay, let's get on down. Conley, I believe you are new. Maybe not.
Yes, no, I'm from the Newport location.
Hey, bud, how are you?
Hey, doing well.
So have you done any of these classes with us before, or is this your first one?
No, this is my first one.
Awesome. And so what we're doing right now is we're going, oh, sorry. So sorry, Cindy, one more time. How many conversations did you have and how many connections?
I did 7 and then I got 5.
Awesome.
I just
So-
realized that I had another one and I forgot to mention it earlier for Monday's Power Hour.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Awesome, Cindy. Okay, back to you, Conley. How are you, bud? Okay, so what we're going to be doing right now, Conley, is what we like to do. It's part of our 411, and if somebody can help remind me, because I'm so forgetful, what is our 411? Anybody? I feel like George Gaspar could help me with the 411.
Isn't it do 10 contacts, add 10 to the database, and I'm halfways.
Almost there. Good stuff. Thank you for chiming in, David. I really appreciate it. You're always participating. I love it.
Yeah.
So everybody, just so you know, if I get silence, I'm just going to start calling on people. So please reach out and be in this to win it. Okay, so Conley, just so you know, what David was referring to is our 411. We want to add 10 contacts a day, add 10 contacts to our database, write 10 handwritten notes, or in today's era, I say emails are fine, text messages, typically as a follow-up to a conversation that we had. So for example, let's say I call David Maharo and I go, hey bud, you know anybody looking to buy real estate? No, you don't? Okay, cool, bye. Then I would write the next day a handwritten note or an email or a text message saying, hey David, I really appreciate your time talking to me about your lack of real estate needs or needs of real estate, and really appreciate your conversation. Take care. So that's going to be a note that we send out. And then we want to preview 10 properties a week. So the first one is having 10 contacts a day, whether that's text message, email, phone calls, whatever. And we want to have that be a two-way conversation. So 10 contacts a day, adding 10 contacts into our database, some form of a CRM, which means, Command would be a great one, Lion Desk. Even if you're just using a Google Excel spreadsheet, that's fine too. But something that you constantly, can reflect back on, as a database. You're going to want to write 10 handwritten notes or emails or text messages, typically as a review. And then you're going to go preview 10 properties. And all of that equals our 411. So very good. So Conley, how many contacts could you commit to per day and per week?
Let's see. I think realistically, I'd probably be around 5 at the moment.
Okay.
And then,
35 a week.
yes.
And I'm sure we have zeros for right now, or have you made some contacts this past week?
I have not. No, I actually don't even start until the start of next month. I'm just getting in some early training.
Nice, attaboy. Good job. So very cool. So at the end of this class, hopefully you'll have some more tools to have some conversations. This is a great one to start on. I believe it's winning the seller or winning the buyer. One of them. Sell your listings. Never mind. Just kidding. But we'll still have some good scripts in here and dialogues for us to go over. Very cool. Good stuff. Okay, let's go down. Greg, how are you, sir?
How are you?
I am well. How was your weekend? How many contacts did we make?
So I don't have a number. But I did reach out to some people.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many can you remember off the top of your head?
I mean, I made connection with at least 3 people off the top of my head.
Hey, I like 3. 3 is
Yeah,
better than 0.
I have a friend, he's in Louisiana, and he referred me to a couple out here that purchases investment properties. So he gave me the information and told me to give him a call. And so I contacted them, and I might potentially be working with them. I just have to see if I could find anything, that's worth them looking into.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
So we'll go with 3.
I like it. 3 is better than 0. We'll turn those into 30 in no time. Good job, Greg. Good job. Okay, David Maharo. I feel like you're going to knock this one out of the park. I got a good feeling.
I had 7 solid contacts, and I got one. I reached out to a business owner that I used to help in my old job. She owns a flower shop in downtown, and her son is looking for a duplex in Los Angeles area. And I have I reached back out to a seller. Oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
We're going to judge you and listen to your convo. Okay, while he's talking to somebody at the door, let's go on down real quick. Okay, Davina.
Hi.
What is up?
Nothing really. How's everything?
Another day, another dime.
The usual. Okay, so I did 7 calls of people that I spoke with, and I called 12 people total.
Oh, nice. Okay, so 12. I reversed that. 12-7.
And then last week I didn't give my numbers, but I was in class. I was just on the phone with a client, so I couldn't speak at the time. But it was 3 people that I spoke with and 5 calls.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have perfect attendance. I love it. That's awesome. Good job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Did any of them go anywhere? Like, did you have any like meaningful conversations? Did you feel like you might, have you
Some
know,
people, it's just like kind of like a quick conversation and they're not really interested, but like whatever. And then some people are more interested that like I've become an agent and like kind of I get more of the feeling that they're gonna actually keep me in mind for if they like need to buy and sell. So that's good, I guess.
absolutely. It takes time. And you never know who somebody knows.
Yeah,
So keep it up. I like it.
thank you.
Good job. Good job. Are we friends on Instagram?
I don't think so. I can add you.
Okay. I think I'm thinking your voice sounds familiar to somebody else who's in the class.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, go ahead and add me. Do you have like 15,000 followers or anything like that?
No, I'm like so the opposite with followers. I like only accept people that I know these days, so
I
quite
love
the
it.
opposite.
So now that we're in real estate, we might want to be that annoying person on Instagram. I
I
hate to
know.
admit it. And believe me, I have a hard time figuring it out. I only have like 1,000 something followers, and I'm following more people that follow me. I know that sounds so vapid and like silly,
Yeah,
but I hate to say it. I get a lot of leads off of Instagram,
yeah,
and it's a really good way to source some potential clients. So
yeah, for sure.
good stuff. All righty. Thank you so much, Davina.
Thank you.
Angela Cross, how are you,
Hi,
my dear?
Jared. I'm
How-
finding you.
I'm so good. How was your weekend?
It was good, actually. I had an agent take me and show me. We went to preview some properties together, and he showed me how to like use my super key and like just like show me what to say and help me out a little bit.
Love it. I love it. That's awesome. So, did you have any conversations outside of the real estate agent? Did you cold call some people? Did you get any leads?
Um, I got one interested buyer on Instagram. That don't count. He was in another state. Like, I'll fly out there to have a conversation with you. I said, well, I can just refer you to someone in Tennessee. You don't like, I don't get it. So yeah, that I guess that one don't count. Think he was on something else. Um, then Facebook, this guy reached out to me. I did like a little ad thing on Facebook. And so I don't know. We're supposed to have another conversation about it. It was just via text. So I guess I have like 3 and 3.
Awesome. 3 and 3. I like it. And now, so everybody, because of the pandemic, feel free, especially if somebody's like, I'll fly out some place, pump those brakes real quick. We have something called Zoom. We're able to get on a Zoom call just like this. You can do it as well. It's pretty easy. You just create your own Zoom thing. You send them an email link and you're able to have a face-to-face conversation over the computer. I highly, highly recommend, even for these classes, frankly, everybody, to go ahead and put on your camera phone or your computer and have a face-to-face conversation. It's just much more personable, and it goes a long way. Plus, you can share your screen and talk with them. You can see their reactions. You're able to really have a good idea and a more meaningful conversation when you can see the other person's face. So good job, Angela. I highly recommend using Zoom for qualifying a lot of these buyers and sellers before meeting necessarily in person. But good job, Angela. Atta girl.
Okay. Thank you.
Killing it. All righty. Let's see who else. So we got David Maharo. Are you back yet?
Yeah, sorry about that.
What is up, buddy?
So yeah, I was saying I'm reaching back out to a seller that I met probably back in October. I told him I was going to call him, but I'm thinking about trying that handwritten note. But I mean, what do you suggest? Like, I know it's such like a weird question, like how do you write one? But do you just go buy one from like Target and then just kind of write in it, or what do you suggest I do?
So what I've done is, and now frankly, you can just take some A4 computer paper if you really want, just like this.
Yeah.
And, just, I don't have an envelope in front of me right now. I'm sure I do. I'm not gonna go look for it. And just write it on this, you know.
Oh, okay. So
Hey,
something
what's up? How
simple.
are you?
Mhm.
It'd probably be better if it's lined because I don't know if you're like me, but if I'm writing on a blank page like that, like my writing kind of goes like
Yeah.
it looks a little bit weird. And that's definitely not the vibe I'm going for. But you know, for example, I have my own personal stationery. If you really wanted to go the next step and invest into that, you can. So, like for example, I have cards. My envelopes have, you know, my address written on the back of it actually. So it looks kind of like, interesting. People like, they're like, huh, what is this? And they like look at the back. Anyway, and it says, you know, Jared Marcus Medlinski, Keller Williams, Beverly Hills, 439 North Cannon Drive, penthouse, blah, 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 blah. So it's like a nice, you know, envelope. And then in the card, it's like a nice, like modern looking kind of design type of card. And then you open it up and it says from the desk of Jared Marcus Medlinski. And I just write in, you know, it's already pre-printed out. And I just write, thank you so much for the call the other day. I had a great time talking with you. You know, please think of me if you have any, you know, needs, you know, wants or needs, or if you know anybody looking to buy or sell. I look forward to continuing the conversation, and hopefully we can, you know, for example, right now, because it's coronavirus, hopefully we can meet soon in person and grab a cup of coffee when this, you know, pandemic is over. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel comfortable with writing. Doesn't have to be, you know, super complex. You know, I always like to say, keep it simple, stupid. That's an acronym. I forget what it is, but you just keep it simple and just don't overcomplicate it. You know, that's, in my opinion, that's the best way to go about it. So don't overthink it. I think you got it.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna be doing that. Hopefully I'll send it out by today or tomorrow. And yeah, that's about it. So I got a buyer. Hopefully I'm gonna call him today in the afternoon. And then I have that seller that I'm gonna reach back out. I wanna send the letter first and then do the follow-up call. Like, hey, did you get my letter? So there's kind of like a base already set for the call. So that's what I plan on doing this week.
I love it, man. That's 100% how to do it. So yeah, what I would probably try to do, you know, time it. You know, if it's a local letter, give it like maybe 2 days to 1 day when you send it, another day in transit, and 1 day when you send it. If you know that the mail got picked up that day, that counts as a day. And then maybe wait another day and then call them on the following, you know, the third day or something like that. Just so you know, you give them enough time to receive the letter.
Okay.
But yeah, because I like to call them right after they received it, and I know they received it because it just goes so much better. They're like, "Oh wow, thank you so much."
Yeah.
Oh, good job.
Right.
Sorry, my caffeine hasn't kicked in yet.
I'm drinking mine right now.
Nice. Okay, let's see who else we have. George Gaspar.
Yes, right here.
How are you? I was thinking of you this weekend. I was gonna bother you about coming to get some suits, but
Thank.
do that.
Come over.
I
have two stories that I can tell you about those suits, but it can be a long conversation about that.
I like it. Well, I'm in between sizes right now. It's horrible. I hate it. It's so frustrating. But anyway, okay, George. So tell me about your weekend. Did you make any contacts? How did it go?
So I had a very interesting weekend. When I received my new business cards, I started tracking how much business cards I give at Nordstrom and how much connections I do. And from those connections, I have a new buyer lead that is already on the lender. And I did an appointment last week. It was a very interesting week. Also, I have another from my Brazilian community, is a couple that is also a lead. So I had 2 appointments last week. That was pretty good. And so my numbers in total is 12 and 3 and 2 appointments. One happened last week. This one is happening this week.
I love it, man. Good job, George. Keep it up.
Thank you.
That's the name of the game.
Thank you. I have one quick question. I'm using the title toolbox to call numbers. How legal is that? I can call them because I saw, of course, there's some people that are always like, oh, how you found my number? And I was, of course, honest. I say through title, and I receive your number and have your number here. And the way I talked, they was not offended and mad, but I just want to make sure that I'm doing a good legal thing, you know?
Yeah, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that whenever you're doing anything via title,
Mhm.
do they so okay, admittedly, I have not used the title toolbox.
Mhm.
I'm just going to be honest because I use a different system. I should go ahead and just do that for an exercise, just
Mhm.
so I'm a little bit more versed in it. But can you help me help you and tell me, is there something that says a do not call registry? Are they scrubbed
No.
again?
No,
Okay.
No.
we have to go through a scrub. We have to get it scrubbed.
Yeah.
Scrub app or something.
Okay, so yeah, that's very important. And do you know how to go through that scrub, George?
No, I don't know.
Neither do I.
Okay, that's fun. All right, let me do a little bit of research on that because the reason why I'm always recommending Mojo, and that's the one that I mainly recommend, is because it does scrub it against a do not call list, and it does that for you automatically.
Yeah, I was literally on a Mojo or Redex ready to pay. The thing's kind of expensive right now, but I'm ready to pay because even though the title toolbox is not expensive, but their information is not so accurate.
Mm.
So it's interesting. I have a lot of phone numbers that is wrong or address that is wrong. Sometimes, I mean, it works. For example, today I stay maybe an hour and I have 10 or 13 calls, actually good calls, but I have to search. I have to make some research, address and this and that. So it takes some time though.
Gotcha. Do me a favor, George. Next time you're doing that, ask Lauren wherever you're getting your title toolbox information from. Is it from Lauren Goldman?
It is from his assistant or
Alyssa.
not assistant, Alyssa, yeah.
Not Alexa, Alyssa. Sorry, my Alexa.
Alyssa.
My Alexa just picked up that and no, cancel. Okay, I think I got it. All right, there we go. Sorry. Talk to her and ask her what's a good do not call list scrub, and
Okay.
maybe be able to help you out. Sorry, I wish I could help you out more. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my notes. Actually, I'll write that down right now.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I think there's an app for it, but I don't want to be quoted on that. I still have to look into that too because I was having an issue downloading my leads with
Yeah.
title through
Yeah.
the app that they have and whatnot.
They gave another one that called I think Property Radar, something like that.
Uh-huh.
She said that one is a little bit better, but it is $60 a month. So I might, before going to Mojo, I think I might going to try that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, and they have I think 3 days of trial free, so I can send it to you right now actually on a message. Just a second.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, put that in the chat, George.
I will.
Because Mojo is like what, $200-$300 a month, Jared?
Yes.
I was trying to find a not so expensive. The Redex
Same.
is kind of not so much, but
So, Jared,
Yes.
I'm on Mojo right now, and I thought it was kind of expensive for myself also, just because I'm just getting started and I don't really want to dish too much money out. But I did sign up for it's like $50 a month, and you could do the neighborhood search. Do you think that is a waste of money because I don't have the dialing system to go with it? Like I could just do these calls on my own, but at least I can go in there and get some information, right?
So did you say start over again? You said it was the $150 a month one?
No, if you don't want to use a dialer system, then you can just pay for the neighborhood search, which is $50 a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the lowest of the package.
I think it's a great option.
I didn't know that. That looks a great option too.
Yeah. I don't know how it's given to you. Are those numbers given to you in like a spreadsheet?
So that's what I'm not too familiar with. I'm looking at it right now, and I have to play with it, so I don't have that answer yet. So it looks like I can go in a different couple ways and zoom in on a different area, and then yeah, and then some names pop up here on the bottom. I just don't know like what these names necessarily mean.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so what I would highly recommend everybody is before you buy anything, give the company a call. So on Mojo, you can call them and chat with a live person, and then you can ask them directly to get those specific answers. Because it's very important. If you get a neighborhood search and it just gives you a bunch of names and addresses and not numbers, or you have to buy something to view them or whatever, you just want to make sure that you're able to easily, get that information and that data onto some form of a list or a spreadsheet or something like that. And so I'm sure you are, but because I use it differently, and I use the full, Mojo dialer package, I would go ahead and just double check and just say, hey, how do I receive this data? Is it in a spreadsheet? Is it in this? What's the deal? So go ahead and ask them, and they'll tell you like flat out exactly how to do it. And that's the best way to do it. So good job, everybody. I like to see that you're being proactive. Okay, moving down the list. I think this is the last one. Lachelle Pickett, how are you, my dear?
I'm getting yourself.
I'm quite well, thank you. And is this your first class? I don't think I have you on here.
No, I've been on here a few times, but I work so much. Sometimes I have to, not say nothing, or I have to sign out depending on if I'm at work or not. And then I have a listing that just opened escrow that's been keeping me busy.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, escrows are definitely good. So Lachelle, as you can see, we're trying to go over our numbers, and we're trying to determine how many calls we can make per day to make those contacts, and how many per week that turns into. And this is our way of keeping all of us accountable and making sure we're doing our most important thing in real estate, which is lead generation. And that's either cold calling, warm calling, but the main thing that we want to do and achieve in real estate is to have a two-way conversation about real estate in some fashion. Even with people who are not in the market to buy, because we just like to get our brand name out to individuals. So when they do know somebody or they do have a need in real estate, they always think of us first. So with that said, how many people could you commit to talking to per day? And then we'll extrapolate what that looks like per week.
I say about 15.
15 per day. I like it. That's an admirable number. And that means 105 contacts per week. And how many did you contact this past week since last Monday?
I actually have 3 people that are going through the loan process to see what they qualify for. And I also have 2 listing appointments.
Boom. I love it. That's amazing. So you want to call it 5?
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Good job, Lachelle. I love it. Sounds great. On our way. Okay. And now I think I just saw somebody sign on. Is that Jana?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but I don't have anything yet. Sorry.
No worries. Is this your first time on the call?
Yeah. I'm just joining. I'm just listening. So sorry for that.
No worries. I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. We're going to get real comfortable and get to know each other.
Sure.
So Jana, is it Jana or Jana?
Jana. Well, actually, I'm from Germany, so it's Jana.
Jana, I love it. Very cool. What part of Germany?
Hamburg.
Very cool. My friend lives, I'm not even going to attempt it right now. It's a small town outside of Hamburg. Anyway, he's close to there. Good stuff. So how many, so what we're doing, if you heard, what we're doing right now is keeping all of ourselves accountable and trying to make a commitment to how many contacts we can make per day and then per week. The big thing about real estate is always staying in contact with our database, cold calling, friends and family and stuff like that. So how many could you commit to per day? There's no right or wrong answer.
Probably like decent, like 4 or 5, to also have like a quality contact, not just like, hey, what's up, but actually, like have a full-on conversation.
Sure. I'm going to put you down at 5, which is 35 per week. And very cool. And, because today we kind of just jumped in the middle, which is fine because all these classes are pertinent no matter where you are in real estate. But, just like what you said, a lot of the times, lead generation could be as simple as, I don't know, just calling a friend and just wishing them happy birthday. And, then eventually in that conversation going, so how's work? And then they go, oh, work is great. How's work with you? And then you have an opportunity to talk about real estate. So that in itself counts as well. And as long as we get, slip in a little bit of real estate in there, we're good to go. So awesome. Very cool. We will get your numbers on Wednesday and see how you're doing.
Perfect.
Very cool. All righty. So
Hey,
I think
Jared.
yes.
Oh, sorry. I was here on the first class. I don't know if like my attendance wasn't recorded for the very first one.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But I was for sure here on the first one. I know I missed number 4 though. I was not here for number 4. And then also I just wanted to ask you real quick, since everybody was talking about like, Redx and all those Mojo and all that. Have you heard of Retren?
Retren.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's like this program where they show you like, who's either behind on their payments and delinquency, or they have, tax liens on their property, or anything like that, or in the foreclosure process.
I love it.
So you haven't heard of it though?
But I love it. I want to do it. Dude, we should cold call together.
Yeah, it has like, it's all LA, Orange County, and it's just like hundreds of numbers. It has their name, phone number, email, address. It even has the court documents because they're public records.
Right. Well, that said, sorry, I'm texting a client. They are going to look at properties in Santa Barbara.
Can you put that information in the chat, please?
The Retren?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
How much are you paying for that a month, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, normally it's like 120 for the month, but I know the manager there at Retren, and she only charges me 69, and it's for all 3 counties, not just LA. But I can give you her contact info if you guys.
Please put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
We're gonna say that we're related to you to get that deal.
Right. You know what? To be honest, I would take her Zoom classes, her trainings, and one time she just decided to hook us up because there was only like 3 of us on the call.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna tell her you sent me, and I'm gonna say.
1 second.
Okay.
Hey everybody, I'm gonna take a quick call really quickly. I just need to have a quick combo real quick.
No problem.
Keep talking, everyone.
I'll put her email in the chat too, so you guys can reach out to her, because she's probably more on her email than through text because she's working.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And are you liking it? And do you feel like you're being successful with it?
You know what? It takes a while to get used to like the clicking, how to find the information out, how to read the court documents. But she does trainings, and sometimes she'll charge like $10, for like a 2-3 hour training. She'll do like one-on-ones, or she'll do, in a group, or sometimes, she just whatever you want to learn, she'll teach you how to navigate through the system. But if you just click even on accident, you'll figure some stuff out.
Okay, I love it. Because
Yeah.
I just did a training last week with Title, because not through Lauren's company, through the company that they have us go through to like upload to the farms.
Okay.
and I
Oi,
didn't.
Daiane, tudo bem?
understand.
Não, não tem problema nenhum. Eu sei que vocês estavam ocupados no sábado e ontem também. Não tem problema. Ó.
And I ended up liking it because I understood it more.
Oh, okay.
Also having some issues with their stuff, uploading the forms and stuff.
Yeah,
And-
I've tried going through different at my old brokerage through title companies, but the information is not really accurate. And
Yeah,
and if you don't have
so
a dialer, you're kind of just wasting too much time
that's
dialing
the
numbers.
thing. Like, you also have to get like a scrubber, like we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this company's, the one that you're referring, is pretty accurate now.
Yeah, no, it's super accurate. Like, it's people that actually own homes. Like, I don't think you'll find a buyer unless, you know, they're looking to buy an extra property or something.
Uh-huh.
But they have like lease pendants. They have, you know, like if they're going through like a divorce or something and, you know, it's already like a public document, then you'll have the address, the emails, the phone number. Sometimes it won't show the phone number or the email. Like, it's one or the other that it will or will not show, or sometimes you'll have both, but you'll always have some sort of contact, you know, way
Info.
to reach out to them.
And these are scrubbed, right?
Yeah, they're updated daily.
So it's kind of like worth it. I want to say it's kind of worth it to pay the $60 a month because of the updates and stuff, because you don't have to take the extra step of doing the scrubbing, because
Yeah.
like you said, it is time consuming to figure out who's scrubbed and who's not.
Yeah,
And then you don't want to get that complaint filed against you either,
exactly.
which is kind of like, I mean, I don't, like, me personally, but
Yeah. And these are probably a little more sensitive subjects, you know, since
yeah,
they're going through some times.
yeah, on
So
top
it's
of the
not-
pandemic.
Yeah, what she told me, she's like, don't think of this as a regular cold call. You know, think of it as you need to help somebody figure out a situation. And
So she guides you how to gently reach out to them and be
Yeah.
sensitive.
yeah, and then other people that use that system will do trainings too. I know there's somebody, I think his name is Louis. He works at Century 21 All Stars,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, he's crazy on the phone, and he's like a older guy, so he knows how to be sympathetic, you know, with people going through rough times. He's been through, you know, the divorce. He's been through the bankruptcies. He's been through it all.
Yeah,
So
because
he kind of knows how to talk to them and relate to them.
they're in a vulnerable position right now,
Exactly.
hence to being in the pandemic on top of it. So it makes people extra
Yeah.
sensitive.
Yeah, they
Um,
do.
So is that her? Okay, that's her email, and then that's her.
That's her.
What's the name of the? Can you put the name of the company in there too, please?
Oh yeah.
Thank you. And you've been successful with this one?
You know what? I signed up for it 2 months ago and I haven't touched it, but I
Okay.
have been taking the trainings and, you know, I look at the info, I look up the property and everything matches. I just need to start calling like these people right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that, because like you said, having a scrub, that is time consuming, and then learn how to use their system on top of it, that makes it more time consuming.
Yeah.
Do they make you upload anything?
Nothing. It's literally just,
I'm gonna grab a sweater real quick. Sorry, everybody. I'm a little bit cold.
No worries.
Keep the convo going. Once I get back, we're gonna start up the class part. All right.
Okay.
well, the way the system works is like you could even just click new batch search and it'll say Los Angeles County, Orange County, you know, Riverside, whatever. And you click, let's say LA County, and you'll just have like, let's say in a day, sometimes there'll be hundreds of names, or sometimes there'll be, you know, 20 or 10.
Okay.
And then you can go back as far as I think a month for, you know, because after a month, it's kind of either they're doing something about it or somebody's already helping them out. So
It sounds like it's super user friendly.
yes, even though the system might look outdated, it's pretty simple to use.
Would it be like simple to use for someone that doesn't really know much about computers, you think?
No, yeah, you should be fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And then you can save, it also allows you to save, let's say there's a file that you contacted. It lets you leave notes, and then lets you save multiple ones in a group.
Oh my, okay.
Yeah. So it's gonna look confusing at first. Trust me. It took me like, a week, I would say, of just me playing with it, downloading the files, reading the documents, what's going on, what's the balance, that they're behind on their mortgage, what's the reason for, the foreclosure or the bankruptcy they're going through, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
But those people do need to sell though, and most of the time, she was telling me that they have like so much equity in their home and they didn't even know until they talked to a realtor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this sounds like it could be like excellent. Actually.
Yes, it does.
So hopefully she'll be cool with giving us what you pay.
I know that's the only problem, because I know for one county in LA it was $120 a month just for one county. So and if you wanted all three, I think it was like $220 or $240. But I mean, if you contact her, I'll send her an email too and say like, hey, I joined a new brokerage and people are interested in this program. They're going to be reaching out to you.
Yeah, tell her.
And then let's see what she says.
Oh, and say they're hoping you can give them the same deal that you gave.
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Everyone's blowing on the budget right now.
Maybe like it slipped out that I was paying $69. So,
hey, David and Cindy, you could probably, if you work with somebody, you might even be able to split that with them and bring down the costs. So.
Oh yeah, I'll put my phone number in the chat.
Thank you.
All righty, y'all. So I just put on, thank you, David. That is some awesome information. And not only do we learn stuff from this, I love that we are sharing, and definitely keep that up. Thank you all for doing that. That's awesome. Okay, so this is the fun part. Sell your listings. For sale signs don't pay the bills, sold signs do. That is for sure. Okay, so this one is all about selling the listing, so to speak. So we just did our daily 10-4, which is what I really like to review with everybody. Can everybody see what's on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, David, you asked about handwritten notes. Again, this is a great opportunity. And by the by, if you haven't seen it already, I put in the chat box the information for today's class. I just sent it in again to everybody. So take a look over there if you want to follow along, and maybe even copy and paste some of the pertinent information onto like a Microsoft Word document so you can save it for later. And plus it comes in PDF form so you can print out the entire lesson plan and save the important pages that way. Okay, so write a note to 2 or 3 people you called and thank them for their time. So David, this would be a great opportunity, frankly, that you can just steal one of these and kind of just save it, so you know what to write in your note. So for example, your Mets. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. It was great to catch up with you and let you know that what I've been doing with my business. I'm thrilled to be with Keller Williams, and I'm available to you at any time to be an asset and a resource to you, your family, and your friends. Please call me whenever a question or need comes up. I'll stay in touch. I appreciate you and wish you all the best. So David, that's a great letter right there that you could go ahead and send to people. For example, let's say you have a phone call with them or whatever, just follow up, copy, paste this. You can even send it in a text message if you wanted to. But again, I actually think that handwritten notes are really, really awesome. It's a lost art. And I always get excited whenever I get a letter in the mail from somebody just because, so good stuff. Now, the other one is referrals. It's pretty much identical. I think maybe 1 or 2 words are changed in this entire thing. So thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. It was great getting to know you. I look forward to helping you. Please know that I'm available to you at any time to be an asset and a resource to you, your family, and your friends. Please call me whenever a question or need comes up. I'll stay in touch. Wish you all the best. So, and then always enclose a business card in each note, stamp and mail it from your market center. I always like to mail it from my particular market center. or at least address it from my market center. That way I'm not giving out my personal address because people are crazy. Anyway, get your head in the game. So for everybody who's new, this is my favorite. Did I say favorite? It's my favorite little picturegram, whatever you want to call it. And it's the funnel. And our business really goes off of leads and how many leads you can get. We'll often find that the quality comes in the quantity. There's been a lot of research done. For example, one of my favorite scientific studies was they give an assignment to a class. One is to two different groups in a class. One, they just say, I think it was like clay models or something like that. And it was an art class. And they were saying, we want you to make as many clay figurines or models as you possibly can, just as many as you can make. And so that group of people went off and they made these little clay models, and they just kept going and going and going. Now the other group that they said, we want you to make one clay model, and we want you to make it as perfect and as amazing as you possibly can. And they gave them, let's say, a month to do it. Or I forget, I'm kind of paraphrasing there. But the point is the group that had the quantity, that to just make as many as you possibly can, eventually they got the practice in, they started, making little trinkets, and then they go, oh, wait, you know what, that would look really cool with this. And oh, you know what, maybe we can do that. And the point is guess who made the most amazing clay model at the end of this experiment? It was the people who did the most. It was the group that did the quantity versus the group that was said, we want you to make the absolute best clay model that you could possibly make. And so, for example, when we're thinking about reaching out to people and cold calling and lead generating, it doesn't always have to be a home run. We're often trying to, I found myself when I first got into the business only going after like $10 million and above listings. I haven't sold a $10 million listing yet. So my point is that what you really want to do, what I found that really works, especially when you're in the first couple of months to years of real estate, is just get in the habit of lead generating. And what you're going to find is that you become so good at it that it just comes naturally at this point. Whenever I'm, hanging around friends or I'm, walking around the city or whatever, it's like my ears are tuned for like people talking about real estate. And I'm able to just go, whoop, hey, how you doing? My name's Jared. I heard you talking about real estate. Here's my business card. By the by, where are you looking? And it just becomes very, very natural. Give me 1 second. I have a phone call coming in and I want to turn that off. Sorry about that. So where was I? So this is my favorite little picture that I like to refer to. First, we want to start with our leads. The more leads we get, the more appointments we'll set. The more appointments we set, the more agreements we can get into. We're right here when we're right around contracts. And the more contracts we get, obviously, the more paydays we end up receiving. So so far, we've worked hard to find the business and get the appointments. Once you have landed the appointment, you demonstrated to the seller that your values as a listing agent, and they sign the listing agreement with you. Now what? It's time to act on what you promised to your sellers in your listing presentation. It's more than just sticking a sign in the yard. Successful marketing and servicing a listing is very important to get to your clients and could have positive, long-lasting benefits for you. Get the listing sold by attracting buyers to the listing. Do that job well, and you will also generate additional buyers who will buy other listings and sellers who will see you as an effective listing agent. Meet your sellers. Meet your sellers' needs in a focused and communicative way. This will build your reputation as a top listing agent, generating repeat business and referrals from that seller to create many more paydays ahead. So what's really important when we get listings is we want to make sure that we're marketing it effectively. I can't tell you how many times I have seen a listing agent just throw it up on the MLS and they're like, my job here is done. Unfortunately, it's not. Why do you think Keller Williams, especially, has invested so much money into Command so we can do our lead generation activities such as marketing right in our Command database? Why do you think that's so important to them? Because frankly, I'm going to be honest with you. If you just put it on the MLS in this market, it will sell. I mean, it 100%. No, if it's priced right, it will be in contract within 2 to 3 weeks. But why do you think it's so important? And we put so much focus on marketing on Instagram, marketing on Facebook, sending out blast emails. Why do you think that's important?
One, because you show your clients how you're proactive, showing their properties to make sure that they sell in the right way. And also the way you show the properties for that client, they're going to tell their referrals or friends what you did for for her property or for his property.
Bingo. That's what I was looking for. So yes, it's important to show our clients that we're being proactive in marketing the property. But like George was saying, it's also really important to show their friends, their family, their sphere of influence, and who else. Maybe, is there any other people that we might want to show that we're really good at marketing properties? Who else would that be?
You could show potential buyers.
Bingo, potential buyers. And, we could also, more importantly with buyers, is let them know that we're an active real estate agent and that we can be contacted for any of their buying needs. What else besides buyers though? Maybe a little bit more geographic. Maybe in proximity to the house that you're selling. Come on, Dave. I feel like you got
neighbors or people in that community or city.
That's exactly it. Neighbors. Oftentimes, when right now, unfortunately, we are in the thick of the pandemic, and we can't do open houses like we normally used to. But when we are able to do open houses, when all of a sudden all these neighbors from the neighborhood come in to take a look at the house, you'll find that more often than not, it's not just buyers who are coming to the property, it's the neighbors. Why do you think the neighbors are coming there? It's because they're interviewing real estate agents to list their house. That's what I found, at least. They're going into your open house to see how you represent a property because they might be thinking of selling their house. And so this is a great opportunity when you're marketing. Whenever I'm doing like an Instagram ad for a listing of mine, I'm going to be hyper focused on the location that I have sold the property in or selling the property in. For example, this week I'm going to do a big Instagram ad in Santa Clarita because I just had a sale there. I got $45,000 over asking price, which is in that market a pretty big deal. For example, when I had one of my listings over here in West LA, we were getting offers, before we staged it and it was still off market. We got a few offers at like 1.2, 1.3, stuff like that. We ended up selling for 1.695. So that's like what, 500, yeah, a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars above, 1.2. So the point that I'm trying to get at is that if you're able to express to the neighborhood at how effective you are at selling properties, they're going to be more inclined to think of you when it comes time for them to sell. So that's why marketing your listings is so important. Not only do you attract a lot of buyers so you can get the place sold, you're also going to notify anybody who's thinking of selling that you are a badass agent. So keep that in mind. And in fact, I like to do Instagram ads after I've sold the property. Not only just during the process. So that's always good. Okay, make it happen. Marketing and servicing your listings. Your service to sellers begins the moment they sign the listing agreement with you. You are now their advocate, their agent, and their fiduciary. I was going to ask if anybody knows what a fiduciary is, but a fiduciary is a person who is legally or ethically entrusted to manage money or property between two or more parties. Now, what I always like to say a fiduciary is, and my definition, is always keeping your client's best interest at heart. Yes, it often has to do with money monetarily, but the main point that I want to get across to you is that a fiduciary is somebody who is constantly looking after your client's best interest and not your own. You know, sometimes when we're thinking about, you know, real estate, we're like, oh, I'm going to get this commission. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Sometimes you're going to have to make a decision in real estate that might not be, you know, helping your bottom line. It's helping your client's bottom line a little bit more. So keep that in mind. Sometimes, for example, you know, it could either be a credit to the seller or it could be a reduction in purchase price. You know, typically it's, you know, half six of a dozen to the seller, but for the buyer, it might be different. But anyway, sometimes you might want to think about that. So a reduction in purchase price means less commissions paid out. So, you know, sometimes that might be better for your seller, you know, frankly. So anyway, moving forward, being a seller's fiduciary means servicing and marketing their home in the most effective way. There are 3 steps in this critical phase of your listing relationship with any seller. Stage the property. If we all remember my example of the property that I was just referring to, how much, you know, staging could really net a seller. It could be a lot of money, you know, $600,000 plus, you know, yeah, I think it's worth spending $15,000. Marketing the listing, communicating with sellers. These are all very important aspects of the selling process. Real quick, for anybody who's new on here, Instagram, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm referring to. So we're going to talk about in the next couple pages, it's in regards to staging the property. But what I'd like to do real quick, because I know I've shown it to most of the people on this, but I want to show the new people. Boop, there we go. Okay. So this is a property. Hold on, let me show you what it looked like before. So this property that we got, yeah. So for this property, before we staged it, I don't know if you can see this. How important is staging? Before we received a $1.2 million offer. After staging, we received multiple offers and sold for $1.7 million. Would you stage to net $500,000 more? Absolutely. Huh?
I said, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
sorry, I thought I was on mute.
no worries. No, I want everybody to talk. I like that a lot. So please, everybody keep yourself off mute, frankly. So for example, this property, you know, the living room looked like this. And after staging, it looked like that. This is the exact same angle. Obviously, we used this was off of my iPhone camera. This is before we had wide angle lenses on our iPhone. But this is the exact same location that we took both these pictures. You'll notice that this picture, I was focusing on the window rather than the entire room. And this one was done with a professional photographer with a wide angle lens. And they did multiple focal points and they stitched the pictures together.
That's what I was going to ask, because the lighting is so different in that photo compared to your original photo.
It totally is. There's also some lights in here that we added into the property as well. And also time of day. This is a different time of day from when I took the other picture. But what you can see though, is the wood beams are illuminated much more. That has to do with the lighting below. The furniture that we put in here helped to bring, you know, the room a little bit more alive. The lens is a wide angle lens, so it makes the room look a little bit bigger. But the cool thing about this is none of this was done with Photoshop. This is all strictly done based off of what's called a pick stitch. And they're taking, you know, multiple, you know, images in the same location on a tripod. One is focused on the window outside. One's focused on the, you know, the middle ground, one's in the foreground, you know, stuff like that. And they stitch all those pictures together. So it's actually a much more natural approach of looking at an image. If you just are in your room right now, you know, focus on something that's close to you. that's in perfect focus. Now, everything around that in the peripheral is not as focused as what you're looking at. Now, if you take a step back, the more you focus on certain areas, the more your eyes naturally will focus in on that. When you do a, multiple, angled picture and stitch it all together, you're able to do that essentially. Anyway, it's hard to explain, but
Jared, I hate to put you on the spot, but now that because you're on Instagram, would you be okay with us sharing your listings on our?
Absolutely. What I just ask is that you write listing agent Jared Medlinski at the bottom. You could say like a big, verbiage, but just at the bottom, just write, listing courtesy of Jared Medlinski. And so, for example, this was the before. So as you can see, this is another angle of that same listing. Also, just so you know, we did repaint the interior. This was kind of like an off-white. We painted it white, like stark white. As you can see over here in the archway, it was like gold, which is kind of weird for a Spanish style home. Go figure. And then this is what it looked like after. We repainted. We did a little bit of like I think it's called a semi-solid stain on the rafters to kind of make it pop a little bit more. As you can see, we didn't do it perfectly. There's a little bit of dirt, inside of these blinds, these shutters that are on the side over here. But we also added mirrors. Mirrors are great. That mirror kind of brings in more light and bounces it off into the room more. But again, a lot of this has to do with staging. Staging companies have brought it down to a science and are really able to make rooms look bigger than they actually are. So good stuff. So that's the importance of staging. Anyway, so that's my Instagram. If anybody wants to follow me, at Jared Medi, that guy right there. Very cool. So the importance of staging, obviously there's huge benefits in staging properties. I'm trying to get back to, there we go. Here we go. Just want to make sure I'm still sharing it. There we go. Okay. So staging the property. This is what the book says. Think about buying a car. When you look online or see a car on a lot for sale, what attracts you the most? The shiny, clean car with, I don't know who this is. This might be a very important call, so I apologize. 1 second. Hello, this is Jared. Hi, hey, I'm in a meeting right now, but unfortunately we just leased the property out. Thank you so much. Bye. Sorry, I thought it was somebody else. Okay, so staging the property. When you first buy a car, when you're about to buy a car, when you look online and see a car on a lot for sale, what attracts you the most? The shiny, clean car with newer tires, or the rusty, dirty one with bald tires? Of course, you're thinking, what's the price? So it comes down to price and condition, right? You'd be willing to sacrifice a little bit of condition if the price is right. It's the same thing with houses, especially in a competitive market. The homes in the best condition, priced properly, will go quickly. And that's what you want for your sellers. Most homeowners know it's important to keep a home clean, bright, and free from clutter while it is on the market. But sometimes taking the extra step to stage a home can make a difference in how a buyer values it, the price the seller might get for it, and how quickly it will sell. The goals of staging is to present the best face of the home, maximize the spaciousness of the home, allowing visiting buyers to envision themselves in the home instead of seeing the seller at every turn. For example, I recently had a sale where the sellers refused to leave the property, which was really awkward. So they just sat in the backyard, which was very weird, but it was what it was. But in the meantime, I was like, okay, if you're going to do that, you have to at least take all your pictures down. You have to take all your religious items off of the walls. They were very religious. They're Catholic. And I asked them, I know that they like it up, but, we want to be considerate that other people might have different religions. So we want to just depersonalize as much as possible. And it worked. And we reutilized some of their own furniture to help stage the property without fully staging it. So sometimes staging is not necessarily getting a professional service. It could also be reutilizing some of their existing furniture in a more aesthetically pleasing way. I don't know if you've noticed this. Sometimes people think putting a TV in front of a big window is a smart idea. It is not, design-wise. Anyway, will staging bring high offers? Realtors who work with buyers say they are most willing to offer more money for a stage home. How much? 32% of realtors report a 1 to 5% increase in offer. 16% of realtors report a 6% to 10% increase in offers, and 3% of realtors report an 11 to 15% increase in the offer. And you know what? I think that's gone up a little bit, frankly, since 2015. So this is something that I always kind of find to be a little bit funny. They're going to rank the different homes and how important, different rooms in a home and how important they are. I will give you my 2 cents, but this is what the book says. According to the National Association of Realtors 2015 profile of home staging, the median cost spent on staging a home is $675. That is not true in LA County. Los Angeles County, it is a lot more money than $675, and I mean a lot. For example, the home that I showed you on that other picture on my Instagram, we spent, I believe, $15,000 in total in staging and repairs. So for example, the walls around the home were kind of dirty, but they were supposed to be white. So we repainted that. We repainted the entire exterior of the home white. We repainted the interior of the home white. Why white? Because 1, it's cheap, and 2, it just brightens up the home and it makes everything look bigger. We don't like accent walls really. I mean, you can if it's really done tastefully, but I'm telling you, the best way to go is usually just stark white. Anyway, and so just keep in mind, it's going to be a little bit more money than $675. And then plus, we have a new concierge service at Keller Williams that can do all the staging, all the repairs that are needed to sell the house, and they can the seller can pay it out through escrow. So it's no money out of pocket, which is a great option. And where is the money most often spent? The living room is ranked number 1 to increase the value the buyer is willing to offer for a stage home. This graphic shows how other rooms rank in importance for interior staging. So 1 is the living room, 2 is the kitchen, 3 is the master bedroom, 4 is the dining room, and then 5, they say, is the exterior of the home. They are strictly talking about staging, but I find that the exterior of the home, the curb appeal, is just as important, if not more important, for some people. The importance of staging. Although you've discussed staging in your listing consultation, when it comes time to actually doing it, some sellers may show reluctance and raise objections. Stress the importance of a home's appearance to help to achieve a quicker sale at a higher price. How would you handle the following objections? So everybody, please chime in when you think you have a retort to an objection, or else I'm going to call on people randomly. Okay, I don't see why this is important. What would you say to a potential seller if they say, I don't see why this is important?
This will help make your house look more attractive.
Absolutely, 100%. Anybody else have anything?
I mean, you're just going to get more money for it in the end,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, 100%. Big time. And so, for example, I'd use a little bit of Cindy and Greg's, retort. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I hear what you're saying. Staging does cost a little bit of money, and I understand your reluctance. However, if we look at this home that I listed, we were receiving $1.2 million offers originally, and this is what it looked like before. As you can see, it's an empty, house. Looks fine, but it doesn't really kind of give you that wow factor, does it? No, it doesn't. Great. This is what the house looked like after I staged it. Holy crap! Exactly. I know. And guess what? Who else is going to be saying that? The buyers. So the point is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we first received $1.2 million offered, and then we ended up selling at $1.7 million. That's a $500,000 net difference. Do you see the importance of staging? Yes, I do. Okay, so let's go ahead and have that conversation. By the by, we can do something where you only pay out of escrow, so that way you don't have to do any money out of pocket. Would you like me to get you in contact with them? Sure, absolutely, great. Now, if it's a higher end listing, I might go towards another company which I really love, which is Meredith Bear. They are the stalwarts in the industry as far as staging goes. In fact, they're so good at staging. When they did Gwen Stefani's place, I believe it was Gwen Stefani, she ended up keeping the house. They said, you know what? I want to buy the furniture because I love what you did. I don't want to sell it anymore. So they're that good at staging. So you might lose a listing. I'm kidding. You probably won't. That's a very rare occurrence, but it has happened. Do we really have to make this repair? What would you say to somebody who says, do we really have to make this repair?
I would say yes to get full value for what you're asking for and possibly beyond.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. You know, anybody else have anything?
I mean, I would just let them know that ultimately the decision is theirs, you know, but obviously the best decision would be to go with the staging.
Sure. Well, this is a repair. Do we really have to make this repair?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
But right, that works for this one as well. What I
Yeah.
would say to that, and Cindy's spot on, Greg, you're also spot on. I would add, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we don't have to make this repair right now. But when a buyer is going through the house and they notice that this needs a repair, they may raise an objection, and the objection might sound something like, well, this is just what we see when we're walking around the house. What else are we going to find out when we're in inspections? And when that happens, that could lead to a whole big can of worms. For example, that house that I was referring to that I sold, they ended up finding over $100,000 worth of repair items when they went through the inspection process. But they loved the house so much, like so much, that we ended up negotiating to only about $30,000 in credits at the close of escrow, because this girl just happened to have fallen in love with this house. She was just like, this house is just amazing. I love it. I don't care. I don't want to lose it. And so we were able to negotiate from $100,000 all the way down to $30,000 with a closing price of roughly $1.7 million, 1.695. But the point is that when you make the exterior and all the visible items look pristine, they're not going to care that the house hasn't been earthquake retrofitted. In California, that's a big deal. They're not going to really care that it needs a new roof, because it did. They're not going to really care that the electrical wiring is cloth wiring covered, not the PVC or plastic, covered wiring, which is, more modern. They didn't care that it was an open gas furnace right next to where the wiring junction box was. That's dangerous. So the point that I'm trying to make is they didn't care that there was a leaking plumbing fixture that was just draining under the house. Like, it was just some plumbing that was just draining underneath the house. Like, not even into a drain, just dirt, just water going into dirt. That's not good. But the point is that the person loved the house so much that they said, you know what, I'll take the $30,000 off, in credits. And then so what? I throw in another, 50 grand or whatever, and the house will be perfect. So they were willing to go ahead and take on all those repairs themselves. So that's why I always say, let's take care of this repair now, because whenever we get into escrow, once inspections happen, the person's likely going to ask you to repair it anyway. So why don't we just take a bite out of, the cost up front, and then we're able to do it. Now, on the flip side, there are some circumstances when you are selling a house that financially the seller just can't do it. And then, you just deal with it, and, it is what it is. I've done that recently with another sale of mine. They were going through a bankruptcy. I realized that they couldn't do staging, so we reutilized items in the house. I realized that the AC unit wasn't working anymore, so I had to disclose that up front. I knew that there was some leaking water damage from the roof. I disclosed it up front to all the potential buyers. What ended up happening, I think we only had to do a $3,000 credit to the buyer. So, I mean, knocked it out of the park still. And then you just have to work on your negotiation skills at that point, rather than trying to you don't hide anything, obviously, but rather than trying to put lipstick on a house that is kind of falling apart. It wasn't falling apart. The house is in great condition, but I think you know what I'm trying to get at. You really want to make sure that sometimes you have to just deal with it when you're in the deal. Anyway, why can't we sell the house as is? What would we say to that person?
We can, but fixing this or staging this would give you ultimate value, and we can probably get potential higher bids.
Totally. Absolutely. So, obviously they're not referring to a big issue like the foundation is, falling apart. They're referring to aesthetic things, cheap stuff, can of paint, stuff like that. If we can take care of that with a can of paint, we might as well just do it. And it's just going to help the bottom line. So all good stuff.
Wouldn't you also say that it could probably be sold quicker?
Yeah, totally.
Like 100%. You could get a sense of urgency.
100%, Cindy, you're spot on. Yep. Absolutely.
When it comes to the staging, do they have to pay them up front, or is that normally once everything falls through?
So there's two options. We have the Keller Williams Renew, I believe it, or Refresh, or I have to
Renew.
Yeah. That is paid out of escrow. So there's no money out of pocket. It is paid through escrow. Once you close escrow, the proceeds that are typically going back towards the seller, a portion of that is going to be paid to the staging company. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is having another company who, maybe you can get, nicer things or more expensive furniture in the house, and that's typically paid up front. And they'll require that. And sometimes it's a deposit, then paid through escrow or whatever. You can shop around and see, but typically if it's a very high end stager, they're going to want the money up front.
Have you ever had a seller expect you to pay it?
Yes, and
how did that go?
Said no.
How did that conversation go? I'm curious because.
Yeah, I just said no. I said, listen. Well, actually, I say, well, that's when we can do the Renew, Keller Williams Renew. I said that's an option, but frankly, unless I'm looking at netting like a 6-figure, payday from a sale, I'm not going to offer staging up front. No, I'm not going to do it. And sometimes you'll get somebody requesting that. I wouldn't, frankly. What would I say to that? Jared, I want you to stage our home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have no problem doing that. However, that's going to be taking away from my marketing dollars. So either you want me to spend money on my search engine optimized marketing, you want me to get you in front of, 30,000, 40,000 people in LA County looking in your price range, budget, and location, or I can spend all the money to make your house look nicer right now. Frankly, it's up to you. And if they still say that they want me to stage it, I might say, have you had any other realtor offer you staging? And if they say yes, I'll be like, maybe you should work with that realtor because I'm not gonna spend the money to stage it.
Okay, because all right. So in order for me to give you my best optimal services, I would rather prefer that source of income to go towards marketing versus me staging your home.
Yeah, and usually it's actually I would say I take that back. What I would typically say in that situation is I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm not a professional stager. What I like to focus on is the marketing. So I highly recommend utilizing our Renew service. It's a white glove service, and they will do everything from minor repairs to staging your entire home, and it's no money out of pocket to you, and you pay it through the close of escrow. I would like to remind you that every single time I have staged a home with a client, that they have received that amount of money in excess that more than covers it. For example, I'd give them the $1.2 million to $1.7 listing as an example. And so the staging pays for itself plus, plus, plus. And then if they said, no, well, but I really want you to, do it, I'd be like, unfortunately, I'm not a stager. So my personal taste would not be recommended. But you know what, listen, in this situation, maybe if you're concerned about the cost, then maybe we don't have to stage it. It's just a recommendation that I would highly recommend you doing so. But we could also likely reutilize some items in your home to just make it look a little bit more appealing. And we can put a lot of your other stuff into storage. How does that sound? And I'll just kind of, change the subject a little bit.
Like that. Okay. And then what do they say? But I want you to hire the stager and have you pay for it still.
I'm so sorry. I just, I don't really do that. That would be my entire commission.
Okay.
So for example, if it's for example, that house, it cost $15,000. It was a $30,000, a little bit more than that commission. There's no incentive for me to do that. I run my business as such a business.
Mhm.
And for me to give up half of my commission just to do that, wouldn't be very wise of me as a business person. And then more importantly, how would you like your agent who is that freely, giving away his own money, what would that turn into as far as, reviewing offers? If I'm willing to give up that much money of my own money, what's going to happen when I'm handling, the fate of your house and your sales price and your bottom line? It wouldn't really make sense. So no, unfortunately, I can't do that. But if I were looking at making, over $1 million in one sale, looking at a $15,000, price to stage might make sense. I'm not looking at getting $1 million. You are. I'm looking at, $30,000. So, doesn't make sense.
And sorry to interrupt, but what
No.
about a virtual staging?
A lot of people talk about that. I don't particularly care for it, if I'm going to be honest, because what's going to happen? They're going to virtually stage it, and then they're going to walk in the house and go, "Oh, what?" Stage. So it just kind of gives off like a weird kind of vibe. Some people love it and have been very successful with it. I just haven't done it personally, so I can't really advise you too much on that. But some people swear by it.
So do you like physically put like this is a virtual staging? The actual house is empty if you were to go visit it, because if not, that would be misleading, wouldn't it? It's like false advertisement.
If I were to do that, which I have not done that yet, I would absolutely say this is virtually staged.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So very good. Okay, so marketing the listing. Any other questions?
Actually, I do. Yes. For marketing, as you're about to start right now, actually, I'll let you first start with the marketing, and then I have another question about marketing. You can go on.
Okay, perfect. Okay, marketing the listing. Put your listing on buyers' radar screens. Your 14-step marketing plan, which you presented to your sellers in your listing consultation, is designed to produce maximum exposure quickly and allow you to capture as many buyers as possible. Price the home competitively with the current market and price trends. Advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing their home in the best possible light. Place a for sale sign with property flyers easily accessible to drive-by buyers. I love this one actually, because whenever you have a for sale sign, there's oftentimes a little box that has flyers that people can like walk by and just like take a flyer out. I'm telling you, I've never had a full box by the time I go back to the listing. So people do stop by and go, "Oh, let me get a little flyer. I want to learn a little more about this property." And plus, that's a good marketing exposure for yourself. Respond to all buyers' inquiries immediately. Depending on how busy you are, reply to them immediately. I often say that if you schedule, obviously if you know you have an active listing, it will be in your best interest to pick up that phone. But if you're with somebody and you're on a listing appointment, don't pick up the phone. That's not a good practice to do. Make sure you get back to all buyers as soon as possible, but just keep that in mind. Optimize the Sorry. Optimize the home's internet presence by posting your property on the Keller Williams listing service, KWLS, local and global MLS systems, and on social media with plenty of photographs and description of the property. Market the home. And by the by, I sold that one house I was referring to because of a lot of the social media presence. I was going up against somebody by the name of, I'm not going to actually name his name, but he's one of the top producers at Coldwell Banker, and he has that area on lockdown. He had a competing listing literally almost across the street from mine. I think over the course of the weekend, we had like 300 something buyers in and out of our property. And I asked him how many people he had, and I was also keeping track because I'm petty like that. And I think he only had like 100. And I think he only had like 100 over the entire weekend. So I'm batting, you know, I'm kicking the butt of a lot of bigger agents when it comes to my marketing. So keep in mind, social media is huge. It's key. Believe me, I'm telling you. Okay. Market the home on multiple websites, including your own site, My KW Local Office, and KW National sites to attract both local and out-of-town buyers. Post a home on your branded KW app. I don't know how to do that, but I think it does it automatically now. Create flyers and comment cards for viewers of the property. Distribute just listed notices to the neighbors, encouraging them to tell family and friends about the home. When now you can just do like drop-offs, but when I was before the pandemic started, I would go door knocking the entire neighborhood and just say, hey, just want to introduce myself. I'm the listing agent for 2253 Linnington. Just wanted to let you know we're having an open house this weekend. Saturday is going to be a great day for all the neighbors to stop by if you want. We're also going to have an open house on Sunday. I'd love to see you come by and take a look at the property. By the by, do you know anybody else in the neighborhood who's thinking of buying or selling? And it's a great way to lead generate and also show that you're a proactive realtor. Target your marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in this neighborhood. This is huge. Don't keep listings to yourself. You know, you want to tell other, you know, agents, especially bigger agents, about the property because they may have somebody. Include the home in your company and MLS tours, allowing other agents to see the home for themselves. Create an open house schedule and market and host the open house to promote the property to prospective buyers. Target active buyers and investors in your database who are looking for homes in this price range and area. Provide the seller with weekly updates detailing your marketing efforts. Include comments from the prospective buyers and agents who have visited the property. This last one is one of my favorite ways to get a price reduction. I have yet to need to do a price reduction, but I have absolutely, you know, kept notes on what buyers are, you know, negative notes of what buyers are saying about the property, because I have been in a situation where I thought we may have to reduce the selling price, and luckily enough we didn't. But because I was preparing to have that conversation, this is a great way for you to be able to tell your sellers, hey, I'm not the one saying this. It's the buyers who are saying this. So keep that in mind. It's a really good way to smooth over any road bumps you might have with trying to reduce the asking price. Okay, your turn. Marketing action steps. Choose one of the daily 10-4 homes you've previously previewed recently. Evaluate the property's features we're not going to do this right now because it's going to take up too much time. But this is a good way to practice for yourself to kind of determine if a property is priced well. Have they done staging well? Is the photography done well? Do they have a custom property website? Take a look at some agents who are producing on a much higher level than yourself and try to mimic what they're doing. That's the best way. Don't reinvent the wheel. The wheel, it works perfectly. You know, go after other agents and see what they're doing. Okay, hold an effective open house. Part of your marketing strategy and one of your 14 steps is to show the property through an open house. Holding it up, unfortunately, we're not able to do open houses right now, but ideally this pandemic is going to end soon. And if it's not soon, it will be at least in the next year or so. We will be back to doing open houses. So get in the habit of reviewing these items and getting to know them. So the more visits a house gets, the faster it will sell. Buyers love open houses. They absolutely do. It's a great way to meet buyers. Open houses benefits the agent holding the open house as a key lead generation strategy because they offer a relatively safe and non-aggressive sales environment. They provide opportunity for great face-to-face prospecting, which I love. That is the most effective prospecting, in my opinion. The open house event and the time leading up to and after provides opportunity for you to build relationships, market your name to a geographic farm, and secure a neighborhood's mind share. Refer to your Ignite toolkit for a guide. Prepare for your open house. All right, so we got a video that we're going to watch. Let me get on there. Oops. That's not what I wanted. Here. So everybody who's asking, how do I get the information on the classes that we're going over? This is exactly what I do. I go up to KW Connect, I go to Training tab, and I go down to KWU, click on that. And I go to Ignite. And then there's the Student Resources tab right over here. Now I'm going to go into the instructor one because that's the one that has the videos. And we are number 6, create the wow experience. Cheesy, but I like it. Okay, so let's watch this video and let's have a discussion after the video. Some of the things that stand out to us and that we can implement into our open houses. All righty.
Hi, I'm Josh Bath, and I'm here to talk to you about creating a wow experience with your clients. Creating that wow experience with your clients starts right from the initial interview. When you're sitting down with them and you're listening to them and you're asking them good questions, that's really what sets you apart from the rest of the agents that just go in there and talk. The mindset should be not, what am I going to ask them next before they've even finished their sentence with you? The mindset should be, what are you saying to me? A couple things that I do to establish a really good wow experience for my clients. I tell them that a photographer is going to contact them. I tell them that a home stager is going to contact them. And after that's done, I follow up with them. And I ask them, so how was your experience with my photographer? Now, I already know that the photographer I've chosen is incredible. And they're going to deliver great service the way I deliver great service. Except I get to use the service they use as an extension for the energy I'm creating with them in that wow experience. Once their home's listed, how I continue on with that wow experience, I just communicate with them almost every other day. And that communication is either by phone, by text, or a follow-up on an email. The advice I would give you, if you're looking for a place to begin, I'd sit down with a notepad and paper in a quiet place and just start writing out naturally in your mind everything that you do from the moment you've sat in their living room to the moment you've gone back to the office and handed the file to your assistant. How are you communicating with them? What are you doing? These are all incredible steps to communicate back to your seller because normally they don't know what's going on. And if you're telling them what you're doing, you're helping them remove some of that fear and building confidence and trust in you, which is exactly what creates that wow experience. For people thinking that they need to do something big and as a result never doing anything at all, go back to small. It's not about being over the top and big. Sometimes wow is just following up with them when you said you were going to follow up with them. Or it could just be as simple as paying attention to some of their needs, like they don't have time to cut the grass. Maybe you might hire someone to cut the grass. That'll blow their mind. And for you, you can hire a local neighborhood kid. That doesn't cost very much. Little things like that, though, go a long way for referral business and creating a customer for life and that wow experience.
Awesome. So what stood out?
Can I say something?
No, I'm kidding. Of course you can.
Well, he was just really big on making sure, you know, you communicate everything to the seller. And it doesn't matter who the person is. I kind of told you in a previous class about how my mortgage broker wasn't really communicating with my potential buyer, and that lost business. I had to, you know, move on to another mortgage broker, and all we wanted was communication. Let us know what you're doing. And this guy talked about, you know, you tell him exactly like every step of the process. All right, I'm going to do this, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen. You just communicate, and it's that simple, you know?
Yep. And some of the huge thing that he was talking, exactly what Greg was saying, is that communication is key. The more you communicate, the more you can set up expectations for that process, the happier, frankly, your seller is going to be. And kind of systematizing everything. Make it easy for yourself. You know what's going to happen in the entire process from the second you get to staging the property, to putting it on the MLS, to doing this. And you could even let your seller know that in advance. So there's no, big question of like, what's next? They already know, and you already know. And so I love this video because it really demonstrates that very, very well. All right. Anything else stand out to anybody?
I want to say something. I feel like a lot of people just want you to comfort them, or kind of go, that extra step, and they want to make you feel like you're taking care of, their most precious, belonging or transaction that they're ever going to go through. And when you not pamper it, but when you're personal with them, and they feel like you're going that extra step, it like goes a long way, and you kind of create that wow experience, like the video was saying.
Yep, 100%. I love it.
You never know when you're gonna mow the grass for them, instead of hiring somebody.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, actually, that's something that a lot of realtors end up doing. Mowing the lawn, doing stuff like that. It's kind of funny. So
wait, seriously, like mow instead of hiring a gardener? Like,
hey, I the person that I had recently in Santa Clarita just didn't have the money to do anything. So
I get it. I just don't have a green thumb. So
neither do I, believe me. So it was an experience for me. And I've painted, not, fully painted a house. But I've, for example, when it comes time to closing, you're supposed to remove all nails, all whatever, and they have an option between just, leave the nails, in the whatever, or, patch and paint, patch up and don't paint. I was walking around taking nails out of the walls and putting like, drywall putty in and stuff. Yeah. Things we do as realtors. It's
my friend just had to move on Andy Gump because of the winds. And she said that was a lot of fun because they couldn't come to it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. Ooh, full protection equipment for that one. Good stuff. Okay. So getting the word out. So obviously they're talking about door knocking, which we unfortunately cannot do right now. I love door knocking because it's an opportunity to get face-to-face with people. It's a little nerve-wracking at first, but once you get used to it, you'll realize that people are actually not so mean. And it's a good way to get to talk to people. Leveraging the internet, that is my big thing right now. That's what I go after the most. I try to leverage as much as I can on the internet. And my girlfriend put it in a very easy for me to understand kind of way. You can keep, talking about door knocking, but look at the internet as your virtual door. You have an opportunity now to talk to thousands of people at one post versus going door to door to people. So, and something that I've learned about leveraging the internet is be vulnerable. Totally be your real authentic self. I used to do these, big videos on Instagram about, interest rates are this and like contact me, like I'm a great realtor. And then, the other day, like, my girlfriend was telling me like, show the human side behind it, it might work a little bit better. And so I shared a story about how, not all, real estate transactions are, happy and warm and fuzzy. This happened to be a lady who's going through a divorce and a bankruptcy all in one. And then all of a sudden, mid escrow, the husband left the country, and we had to figure out a way to close escrow with the husband out of the country, which is very difficult to do. Once you get into real estate, you'll realize that you have to have things notarized in person typically, and out of the country is a little bit difficult, especially with the embassy being closed. Anyway, we did a remote online notary. We found a way around it. A couple favors were pulled, but we got it done. It was all good. There was ways of closing it also through another state, going through Nevada, and then having it sent over to the closing company here over in Los Angeles, the county recorder in Los Angeles. There's ways around it. Talk to your title person. They should be able to help you through it.
So there was a loophole that you found.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
So, and we're all good. We closed, so that was good.
They must have been very happy.
Very, very happy. And frankly, I got a little emotional in this sale. We had a good cry on the phone together. I wouldn't say I was crying, but a little tear shed. It reminded me of when my mom, had to sell our childhood home. She was hurt for cash, and was in a position that she had to do something because it was the better financial option for her. And knowing that I was able to net this seller $45,000 more, she was able to take care of her bankruptcy, and then also have over a year's salary in the bank, saved up. And
Nice.
This really, gave her a head start. And so while on the surface, it's not warm and fuzzy because, she has to sell the home that she raised her kids in. Her husband left her. He even went off to another country, hasn't seen the kids in 3 months. There's a lot of stuff in that deal that, was really heavy. But the truth of the matter is the shiny object is that I was able to help somebody in a really, really difficult time, and able to provide a more stable financial future for her. And, all in a day's work of a realtor, right? But, I got a little emotional when I was telling the story, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be posting this online. But I got, 3 buyers just from being genuine and honest from that one little post. So don't always feel like you have to be like super buttoned up. Sometimes people like to see, the personality behind the realtor uniform. Okay, so social media, which I just talked about. So absolutely 100%. Tip, when it comes to Facebook, don't use your personal Facebook account for real estate services. Why? It lacks professionalism. So this actually is contradicting what I just said. You know what? Maybe I halfway agree with that. I do have a Facebook business page where it's all strictly business. But when you're talking to your social media sphere, if it's on your personal account, be personal, because it's a personal experience that you're sharing with your people. To me, social media is going to a campfire and talking with all your friends. That's what it is. It's a virtual campfire. If you go to a campfire, you're not walking around in a business suit handing business cards out to people. They're relaxed, they're having fun, they're just chilling, they're looking at TikTok videos, they're doing this, they're doing that, whatever. So when you're on your personal social media, it's okay to be a little bit more, personal. Now, if you're on your professional account, be professional, 100%. Anyway. Twitter, this talks about Twitter. I know nothing about Twitter. I don't use it. Twitter is another amazing way to keep connected to your clients. Twitter gives you 140 characters or less to give updates to your followers about your open houses. You can use hashtags to connect with your market and extend your posting reach beyond just your following. Use it to engage and keep strengthening your relationships. Use images when you post on Facebook. Tweet tips about moving and staging. Marketing new real estate listings. Set up a Pinterest board for your real estate listings. Engage when you use social media for real estate. Use contests and sweepstakes. All good stuff. Community websites. Many neighborhoods have community websites. For example, we have, what is it? Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app. That's a great place to get clients, frankly. Really good to, keep chatting with people and keep people in the loop about what's going on. What else? Communicating with sellers. Okay. So we all know the importance of communicating with sellers. But here are some tips when you are communicating with sellers. Follow-up preferences. Definitely talk with your sellers. How do you like to be communicated with? In fact, one of my buyers just told me that she was like, hey, what's your best way of communication? I was like, oh my God, you should be a real estate agent. Because it's important. You know, frankly, I get like hundreds and hundreds of emails every single day between KW alerts and vendors trying to get me to buy their stuff and contracts that I have out. You know, if I get an email that's not titled or something like that, or I don't have that person starred, you know, yet in my Gmail, I'm going to miss it. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I miss so many emails and like, I hate it. So what I always like to do typically is I always tell people that I'm going to do two things. If I send an email, I'm going to follow up with a text message. If I give a call, I'm going to also follow up with a text message if I ended up having to leave a voicemail. Even after every single phone call I have with people, I will typically follow up with either a text message or an email. It's very important to also discuss with your particular sellers what their preferred method of communication is. And then reevaluate it also as well if they're not being responsive. Match style. In person or on the phone, always seek to match the communication style. That's actually something that I like to do whenever I'm cold calling. I'll start it off with, hi, this is Jared Medlinski with Keller Williams Beverly Hills. Is this blank? And if they're like, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, so I was just calling because I was, you know, curious if you know anybody in your neighborhood who's looking to buy or sell. It's a really hot market right now. That's one way I would match their because they're sounding a little bit defensive. So I'm gonna sound a little bit like, hi. If they're like, yeah, hey, how are you? I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm doing really good. How are you? Awesome. Hey, listen, I know there's a lot of people who are looking to buy or sell right now. It's a really awesome time. Interest rates are at record lows. You know, we just sold a house down the street from you. Do you know anybody in the neighborhood who's looking to buy or sell? So depending on how the person sounds on the phone is going to really dictate how I sound when I'm talking to them. It's a very good negotiation strategy as well. Always update. Update should happen even when there is nothing to update, frankly. If there is no news, consider if there needs to be a change in condition, price, or both. Be prompt. Always respond as soon as possible or on the expected schedule. Sometimes I like to tell my buyers or sellers, like, you know, hey, listen, if you send me a text message, I'll let you know by like a like or heart or something. But, you know, sometimes I won't be available. But let's set up a plan to discuss every, you know, Monday at 10 a.m. That's not necessarily how I do it, but, you know, it's a good practice to get into. Never talk down. Always communicate as a partner with your customer. This can be very difficult. I've had situations where my seller is really, really frustrating me. But I always have to remind myself that, you know, this is a stressful time for them. So don't take it personally. Don't talk down to them. Just go back to your basics and just re-explain the importance of certain things. Keep a log. Maintain a communication log so you're able to be reminded as to what was said in the last contact. Read your log before the call. That's something that I absolutely like to do. Decision maker, focus. Always include all decision makers. Definitely. Great attitude. Always be enthusiastic and positive. Any questions in regards to that? Awesome. Okay, if I could, because I need a sip of water or something. Can I have, who wants to elect themselves to read customer experience?
I'll do it.
I knew you would, David. Thank you, bud.
Customer experience. Customers do business with you because of your service and the perceived value they get from that. They want to do business with people that help them feel comfortable with making one of the biggest decisions in their life.
Love it. Okay. So this is important. Truth, an excellent customer experience will set you apart. One of my favorite things to do is if I know I'm going to send something out that day, I'll likely tell the person, hey, and so I'll send this to you sometime in the next day or two. When you receive it, make sure, you know, you review it and get over it. And I know I'm sending it to them that day, but I told them in a day or two. Or for example, I expect we'll receive offers by Sunday. Even though I just talked to an agent who said, I'm writing an offer right now. I don't want to get their hopes up. You know, I don't want to under promise. I don't want to over promise and then, you know, bring their expectations down. So that's definitely a good thing. Always under promise and over deliver. A little bit more on that. This idea should be a hallmark of your business. Here are some examples. If you say you will communicate once a week, communicate twice a week, or until the seller asks you to scale down. This is always, you know, good. If a seller is telling you, I get it, you're doing your job just fine. Say your staging expert will be in touch with the seller that week, and then make sure the stager calls them the next day. This is very important stuff. Is there anything else that you could think of, you know, under promising and over delivering? So for example, when we're in escrow with a buyer, you know, your lender might tell you, yeah, I'm going to get this loan done and we'll be good to close in the next 5 days. Tell your buyer, be like, hey, you know, listen, I'll restart tonight. You know, it looks like the loan's going well. We should probably, you know, get ready to close in the next week or two, in the next 2 weeks. And, you know, you already know that it's going to be a week. So that's a good way to kind of communicate that kind of stuff. Because then you're just always constantly delivering and they just think you're just amazing. Okay, be solutions oriented. Hone your problem resolution skills. Make it a habit to never communicate with a client about a problem without having one or more solutions to recommend. Your clients are looking to you to be the expert, have the answers. What kind of problems might arise that you can apply solutions to be seen as the customer's hero? What are some problems that could go wrong in a listing?
You can put it wrong in the MLS. Like one of my buyers was looking on through my app and he's like, look, I found a house for $6,000. I was like, and when I went on and looked at it, I was like, that would be great if it was that price. I think everybody, including myself, would buy 3 of them, but the realtor ended up posting that incorrectly. I think it's $6,000 a month, most likely, if it's a rental or if it's a mortgage payment.
That's funny. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, you know, frankly, 100%. You know, you could say, listen, you know, we deem the MLS as accurate information, but sometimes people make mistakes. And we're always going to go ahead and, you know, make sure we find out what the problem is and we'll find a solution. But yeah, so what else could be, you know, something, trying to think, you know, for example, when we found out that the husband left the country, I had already been talking to some title companies about how we could go about closing on the property. And so when I called my client to say, so I found out your husband moved to the Philippines, I had already had the conversation with the title company to figure out what the solution was. So instead of just like calling my client right away and be like, oh my God, your client moved, your husband moved to the Philippines, what the hell? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was like, okay, I can't call my client with this information right now. She didn't know. So let me think about this. And so I talked to a bunch of, you know, experts on the topic, title, figured out the solution, and we did. And, you know, it was a remote online notary, and that's how we figured it out. So I explained to her, so we hit a little bit of a snag. We were supposed to close here, you know, already, but, you know, this is what's slowing it down. I didn't want to call you without a solution. So I figured out what we need to do. This is why we're going to handle it. It's going to delay the process, you know, a day or two. Unfortunately, your husband or ex-husband is on another time zone. So there's going to be a communication delay, but, you know, we've already figured out what needs to be done and we've sent him the information to do it. I'll update you once we make contact with your ex-husband. So it was done. It was taken care of. It was very stressful for her, but she knew it was being taken care of. Developing staging resources. You'll discover that with a little practice, you can become a great first-tier staging advisor. However, you'll also want to get to know a few staging professionals who will work with you to enhance your professionalism, your professional reputation, excuse me. Who will help you with staging? We at Keller Williams Beverly Hills, we have the Renew team. They are an amazing resource for us. But again, I also recommend Meredith Bear. And then there's a couple other staging companies that are not coming to mind right now, but with those two, you'll be able to figure it out. And highly recommend searching out for some staging people. Oh, I think I played the wrong video first. Create a wow experience. No problem. So let's go ahead and hold an effective open house. So after this video, I think we just have a couple more pages and we are done for the day. But here, let me make sure I'm sharing this correctly, which I am not. So here we go. All righty.
Hi, I'm Chris Suarez, and I'm here to tell you the 5 steps to holding an effective open house. Step 1, strategically select the home you want to hold open. Choose a home that gives you the greatest potential to have buyers and sellers find you. This might be a home that is in a great traffic pattern, whether that be car traffic or people walking by in walkable neighborhoods in your community. Select a home around a local event where neighbors or even out-of-town people might be stopping in. Step 2 of holding an effective open house is advertising and marketing. Marketing begins a week in advance of any open house you might hold open. Begin by posting internet ads a week before. Get a sign in the yard and let neighbors and passerbys know that the home will be open later in the week. Remember to contact both by phone and email any internet leads or phone calls you've received on that listing prior to the open house. Don't forget to make 50 calls around the home prior to the open house and door knock, a radius of about 2 or 3 blocks. Step 3, know your scripts. Know what you're going to say to greet the visitor. Know what questions you're going to ask while they're in the home. One of the greatest first lines you could use is, "Thanks for stopping in to tour my open house. Are you one of the neighbors or are you out shopping for a home today?" Immediately, you'll know if you're dealing with a potential buyer or a potential seller. Step 4 is keep the right mindset and prepare. Remember, open houses are lead generation activities, so enter with the mindset of a top lead generator. Prepare yourself with comparable properties, market research, at least 2 or 3 other homes that you could potentially show should the opportunity arise. And step 5, always follow up with every lead that comes through that door. Call them, email them, write thank you notes that same day. A simple follow-up script to use directly after an open house goes like this. "Thanks for stopping into my open house this morning. It was great to meet you. I did a little bit of digging in the office after we met and after the open house and found 3 other properties I think really fit your search criteria. I know the home that we saw this morning wasn't quite perfect, but these 3 have some real potential. We could get into them tomorrow at 4 or at 6, which would work better for you." Great, let's meet at my office and we can go from there. My biggest aha when doing open houses is remembering open houses are not a technique to keep current sellers happy. In reality, open houses are great lead generation tools to connect with potential future buyers and sellers. By using effective scripts and systems leading up to the open house and great follow-up techniques after the open house, you'll build a met database of future buyers and sellers. Thanks for watching KW Connect and make it a great day.
Awesome. So what stood out in that video?
I like the scripts, what he was saying, like whenever you're hosting the open house to find out if they're neighbors or if they're, out shopping for a home. I thought that was pretty powerful because if they are neighbors, then they could be potential home sellers.
Yep.
And if not, then you're finding out if they're in the market to buy a home and not just the looky-loos, as they call them.
Yep, absolutely. Looky-loos, we find out who they are real quick and we kind of ignore them. No, but even then, it's good to, chat up the looky-loos because you never know when they're going to be in the market. But more importantly, whenever I'm hosting an open house, what I really, really like to do is I will have, I don't know, let's say in a very busy market, there's 4 other homes for sale in the area. I will go ahead and take a sheet from the MLS, print out all those other homes in the same price range, the same area, the same bed bath count, the comps that are on the market, my competition, and either the comparables or the competition, but in this case, I'm talking about my competition. And so I'll ask a buyer and I'll be like, so what did you think of the home? And they go, well, it's not for me. Oh, well, why not? And then if I find out that it's truly not for them, and there's a script that, I go through that with them. It's not really a script, it's more of a checklist. Like if there's like 3 or 4 like things about the house that just absolutely are there, like I will not buy a house with this kind of list, then I will go ahead and go, interesting. Well, I am representing this home, but I am aware of 3 more properties in the neighborhood that are for sale. Have you seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Main Street? Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, are you working with a realtor? Well, yeah, that's actually how I found out about your property that's for sale. Okay, well, and your realtor hasn't sent you these properties that are also for sale? No, they haven't. Interesting. Well, I'd be happy to show you these properties. Can we go ahead and meet there, maybe a little bit after my open house? We can, set up an appointment for, 5 o'clock or something like that. Oh my gosh, that would be great. Awesome. Well, while I still have you here are the other 2 properties that are in the same neighborhood, same bed bath count. And I know for a fact that this one doesn't have, I don't know, let's say they had an issue with, I don't know, the pool not being able to put a pool cover over it or something like that, whatever. And for example, this house I know doesn't have a pool. So is that something that you'd be interested in? Oh yeah, it is. Great. So we have these 2 properties that you're interested in. And I understand that you're working with an agent, but they didn't send you any of these properties. Would you have any objection to writing an offer through me if we were to go ahead and view them together? And they will always say, no, I have no objection to that. And then you go, great. So let's go take a look at those properties once I'm done with the open house. And hopefully I could, help you find even more properties if these ones don't fit. And so the point is it's a great way to pick up buyers. In fact, I've done it a couple times. Usually I double end it, but I have also picked up buyers that I still work with, frankly.
This is if the seller doesn't have a new home to go to, correct?
No, this is if we're doing an open house. And so for example, so this is about open houses. So
right,
the seller is not even in the picture right now. The seller is out of the house. I'm hosting an open house. A potential buyer walks in. They just don't happen to like the house that we're hosting an open house for. I will go ahead and advance, print out the other 3 properties that are for sale in the neighborhood that are, competitive.
Oh, so this is if a buyer doesn't have a contract with another realtor.
Yeah, but more importantly, this is a way for me to pick up buyers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So and yeah, and obviously if they have a buyer's agreement with another agent, then I'm not going to pursue that person. But even if they say, oh, I'm working with another agent, I'll still go, well, have you seen this property, and did your agent send this property to you? And if they say no, I will then say, well, would you have any objection to writing an offer through me for this particular property? And if they say no, they don't have an objection to it, then I'm going to take them to that property right after and try to sell it to them. So I'm a very aggressive agent, frankly. I'm always looking to either get a buyer or a seller. Awesome. So,
I have one more question since we're talking.
Actually, we're gonna finish up pretty soon. So anybody who has any other questions, obviously Cindy first, but if anybody has any other questions, this is a great opportunity now before we end for the day. Cindy, what's up?
From right now, from what I'm gathering, sort of my text messages from people telling me that Newsom just released mandatory home orders. Does this mean that since California is in the purple, that we can start doing open houses again?
No.
Okay.
We need very specific guidelines for that. And we will get that soon. We're going to have to get that answered. But as of right now, that does not mean we can't. Yeah, no. I'd
Okay,
wait for
no.
something more specific. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was just asking because I know that we've already gone through this multiple times with the restrictions and certain things being lifted. So I thought maybe with
Yeah.
past history, you would, that's why I just took the dive and asked.
Gotcha. No, I haven't. If it just happened, I haven't seen anything yet. And I'm not watching the TV, so I have no idea, frankly. But that's good. Good news. We could get out, maybe.
No, I mean, I just have people text messaging me like crazy. We're open. We're open. So I'm like, okay, what does it mean for real estate? Can I do an open house now? That's what I was
Right.
like.
So I think though that pertains to, for example, stay-at-home orders, and that also pertains to maybe restaurants. But for Los Angeles, I don't believe open houses is a necessary act.
Okay.
And it's probably not going to open up again.
Okay. I got excited thinking that I could probably help someone with an open house.
Believe me, I'd love to right now. Be careful if you start doing open houses. I mean, even put it like this, even if they say you can do open houses, keep in mind that you're going to not want to have everybody and their mother showing up to your open house. Just because the coronavirus is still rampantly running around, and you just want to, be careful, frankly, for your own safety, for your client's safety. And yeah, so.
I feel like a lot of realtors still do it because I see on their story where there's like lines wrapping around the block for showings.
What?
Yeah, like there'll be, 10, 15 people trying to go see the house. Or on Facebook, same thing.
Yikes.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, for mine, I didn't have an open house, but I had scheduled showings, and we had over 100 people come on Saturday and Sunday. So it was all scheduled showings, but we had 50 people come one day and 50 people come the next day. And I just had to one at a time going in and out. So it was interesting. So sometimes it might not be an open house. It might just be scheduled showings for the open house. But you're right, David. Some agents are flat out just doing open houses and not giving
Basically,
Jared, with that crowd, are you doing a museum style showing?
Yep. One at a time. It's one person at a time. It's I think you can have up to 2 people entering the house or whatever. And frankly, when I'm doing those open houses, I set up where I'm going to be, I have a little booth, a little table, I have a sign in, I have hand sanitizer, I have a box of gloves, I have extra masks, I have booties, and I'm upwind from them, so the wind's blowing behind me towards them, so I don't want them breathing on me and stuff. I'm very, very careful. I was a former emergency medical technician, so a lot of people are not too scared of this coronavirus thing. I am petrified of it because I understand the mechanisms of how it could be transmitted, and it is very easily transmitted. So I am very, very cautious about it. Maybe more so than I need to be, but that's just something that I do personally. I've never had a client, get it, or I have had clients who got coronavirus, but it wasn't from me. And I've been around them and I didn't get it. And it's all about, I have a box of 1,000 KN95 masks that I always wear. I change them out daily. I don't reuse them. A lot of people say, all these people who get coronavirus are using masks. Yeah, but are they using them properly? That's a big question. If you're always adjusting it and touching the face of it and pulling it below your mouth and then putting it back on and then pulling it down and then putting it back on, you're actually creating an environment where you're gonna make it worse for yourself, and you're more likely gonna get it. So it's kind of funny. You know, what the way I look at a mask is it's a filter. Everything that you're breathing is going through that mask and getting stuck to the outside of it. So if you have it above your nose and then you put it below your nose and you're breathing through your nose while you're outside, you're just breathing in all the stuff that's stuck to your mask. So you're actually increasing your likelihood of getting coronavirus. But what do I know? I always get yelled at whenever I give advice to that. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to hear it." And it's like, okay, that's fine. And then that person ends up getting corona. And anyway, so
I try to tell you.
I had to tell you, dude. But yeah, no. I also wear gloves. Like I live in an apartment. You know, I this might sound like overkill, but whenever I have to go in the elevator, I have gloves on because I don't want to touch the buttons and stuff. And then right when I get out of the doors, I have 3 surfaces that I have to touch before I get to my car. And then there's a trash can, you know, for the building right there. So I open all the things, I take the gloves off as if I was an EMT, throw it in the trash. I get in my car, I use a hand sanitizer again, just for, you know, measure. And yeah, but anyway, we all seem to be under 65. So I think that, you know, we'll probably be okay. But I always just think of it as in terms of trying not to, you know, get it so I don't pass it on to somebody else. But anyway, any other questions, real estate related, not so much Corona, because I can go on a tangent about that for a long time.
If you ever need help at an open house, let me know.
100%.
You're overwhelmed. I'll make the drive. I don't care.
Believe me, I will definitely let you know.
Yeah.
Once we're able to do open houses, I will probably be asking other people to do my open houses until I get the vaccine. So you're more than welcome to. I don't like doing showings right now, frankly, because of the coronavirus. But anyway, so yeah, any other questions about doing, you know, marketing listings? Any other real, you know, lead generation questions that you have?
Did we touch this? I think I've asked, I'm not sure if I did. How do you feel about email marketing? Like I wanted to.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think it's important. You know, have something of value that you're sending. So for example, like a neighborhood newsletter, you know, updates on the real estate market. You know, I've received email blasts from agents, just like, you know, a picture of themselves and like they're doing like the realtor pose, and like, you know, it just seems really cheesy. And it's like, did you really need to send me that email? Like, I don't need it. You know, so the way I look at email marketing is send something that you feel is going to be opened up and, you know, appreciated, frankly. And what could that be? It could be the Lakers basketball schedule. It could be, you know, something on, you know, football. It could be about the, you know, Tom Brady getting into the Super Bowl. If you like Tom Brady, a lot of people hate him. It could be anything of value. And then just has like your logo on it. You know, it could be anything. But, you know, yes, I think email blast marketing is very effective way to remind people that you're in the business and that you're thinking of them.
Okay. And how do you go about asking for like partnering, like asking for like to work with what's another person I can use instead of the people I really want to use? But like let's say I wanted to team up with a certain person in a certain profession, and I'm like, okay, I'll email them like, hey, if you refer me clients, I will refer you some.
Sure.
Like, how do I go about doing that?
So I would just be honest, you know, hey, I don't know, I'm trying to think.
Like if they don't know me, I don't know them, and I just like got their email off the internet, and I'm like, hey, you do this and I do this. Let's, you know, can you refer me some clients? I'll refer you. Does that work?
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a numbers kind of game. You're going to want to just like reach out to as many people as possible. For example, I'll go after lawyers, you know, for example, like a divorce attorney.
Yeah.
But it won't be in an email. I will call them. if I get that email, I'm gonna ignore it, you know, because I get that a lot. You know, a lot of like, what are they called? Like a lot of title people will be like, "Hey, Jared, do you have a title rep who sends you leads?" And I'll be like, I'm not looking at this email, frankly. Or I'll get like a lender who'll be like, "Hey, Jared, is there anything I can help you with?" I'll usually ignore that email. But if I get a phone call, for example, my boy Dat Nijin, who are still friends to this day, he's handled a couple deals for me. He happens to deal with very specific types of loans. And we actually go out and hang out sometimes. You know, he's a friend of mine, I consider. He once called me while I was driving around and he was like super energetic. He's like, "Hey, Jared, my name's Dat. How are you today?" I'm like, "I'm pretty good." He's like, "Well, hey, Jared, listen, I was following you on Instagram and I'm Dat Loan Guy, Dat Nijin, but my Instagram handle is Dat Loan Guy." Cool. Hey, listen, man, I wanted to talk to you real quick. I'm new to lending, but I'm really versed. My uncle owns this like dope ass like whatever, and he's very like non-professional sounding. He's just like, he just sounded like some guy I'd like to be friends with. And I was like, "Yeah, cool, man. What's up? Tell me about your whatever." And he kept calling me. And eventually I was like, "Dude, I don't want to work with you. Or at the time I was like, I don't have anybody who needs a loan right now or your type of loan." And eventually he was just like, "Hey man, I was just wondering, like, you know, if you might not have like a buyer right now, but you know, do you ever want somebody to go door knocking with you? Do you ever want me to show up to like one of your open houses that I could help them with like a whatever?" I was like, "Yeah, you know what, man? Actually, I'm horrible at door knocking. I used to be when I first started. I'm not really good at it. Like, would you want to go with me one day? Like, it would make me feel a lot more comfortable." He's like, "Yeah, dude, absolutely." And so we kind of connected and we became friends. And I started sending him business, and he sent me a couple, you know, buyers once. And yeah, so I mean, you know, so my point that I'm trying to get at is I would proactively reach out to people on the phone rather than just sending them an email, because I feel like you can connect much better that way, if that helps.
So is that why lenders want to meet? Because I've reached out to 2 lenders and they both said, "Oh, when do you want to meet next week?" And I was like, "For me?" I was like, "Okay."
Yep. Because they just feel like they'll establish a better connection. That or they're single. I don't know.
I was like, "We could Zoom." I'm like, everything's closed. Like, I don't, yeah.
Right. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, no, I think that a lot of times face-to-face conversations work much better, or on the phone, than you know, just doing things via like email and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know what it is. There's probably a scientific reason behind it, but I want to work with people that I've met in person because I can see who they are. I know their mannerisms, how they talk, how they, you know, present themselves, and stuff like that. So sometimes it's great to meet, but you know, whatever. Yeah.
All right. I was just wondering, like, that's odd, but because I didn't know, but now I know.
But no, it's a more effective way to build a working relationship. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions that I could help with? Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We will reconvene on Wednesday and knock it out of the park. I want to see all those numbers bump up this week. If we can get that going, that'll be awesome. And yeah, go kick some butt.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And thank you,
Jared.
David, for sharing your source.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
David is awesome. David is going to be an all-star.
I hope so.
We're all going to be all-stars.
Thank you.
Awesome, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Go get a buyer or a listing, why don't you?
Bye.
Bye.